2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison by an algorithm for the crime they didn't commit. These producers promptly escaped from maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground. Today, still wanted by social media, they survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Smash team.
All right, we're looking at the colored magnetogram here. We're going to give about 2 minutes of bumper music, and then we will be right back. So stay spaced out for about 2 minutes. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're looking at the colored magnetogram here. And we see degrading sunspots as forecasted yesterday. 2740 noted here is now alpha class, and 2741 noted here remains alpha class. Let us know what you think of the new setup here. We got a black mouse pointer, and we have a crosshair, a circle. So I like that actually better than Epic Pen anyway. It creates less screen pollution and requires less everything. So less is more sometimes, folks. Less is more. Got some other views here. About 171 angstroms. The favorite of this channel. If you don't like this view, don't watch, because you're going to see this view regularly, especially when we see increases in solar activity. Check out that wave right there, right in this location. That's a filamentary wave there. A ripple going across the surface of the sun there on the corona. Now, I haven't really looked at the 10.7 centimeter radio flux too hard. I think it's now at 76. So, hey, at least it's above predicted values. We don't really need a deep solar minimum, as we have all kinds of frozen places in the northern hemisphere, late plantings, and so forth. Welcome to the live chat, Harry Wire, and thank you for your hard work, smAsho staff. Yeah, let's go to 304 angstroms, and we should be able to see that filament, as there's clearly a filament coming out of that sunspot region going toward the North Pole. Zoom out a little bit here. And let's look at 193 angstroms here. Trying to get to the bottom of that little ripple we saw at 171. Pretty sure that's some plasma. Not sure if that's a coronal mass ejection. It doesn't look like it. But looks can be deceiving. By the way, this is about 8 hours of the solar activity, folks. All right, let's move on to the subject of ignorance and stupidity. Let's talk about tariffs. Tariffs are stupid. Tariffs are a tax, and all they do is raise your prices. If your economic knowledge is so bad that you think tariffs are good for anybody except the government, you are mistaken. So here's an opportunity for you to understand the distinction put before you on the screen. Speaking of asses and holes in the ground and ignorance, let's talk about other ignorance, such as this fellow here. Unfortunately, an institution that was created to save all Americans has been hijacked by the very bankers it regulates. A shocking demonstration of how Bernie does not understand what the Federal Reserve is, how it formed, or anything else about economics. Not just ignorant, but stupid. If you'd like custom memes, email me, smashomash@gmail.com. That's where they're coming from. They're original. I write them. Have fun. Check out nextdoor.com and network your neighborhood if it's not already networked. If it's already networked, join your next door neighborhood. Nancy Pelosi did, so should you. Let's talk about cycling. I'm going to be riding this thing later this year with complete carbon wheel set and so on. Let's look at even crazier bikes. How about the triathlon rigs, such as this Felt ARD disc? There are plenty of riders out there. Go to New York City. You'll see plenty of people that have too much bike. Is this too much bike for you? I think it might even be too much for me at this point. Jeez. It doesn't pedal for you, folks. And look at the chain stays and the dimpling on those Zip 858s. Good Lord. All right. TheVeloShop.net. All right. Visit the links in the description if you want to sponsor things. Check us out on Instagram. Yesterday we did a vodka review. You won't see that every day. Pretty rare.
So here we are in eastern Pennsylvania in the Lehigh Valley looking at some ocean vodka. That's organic vodka, by the way, folks. Giving you the 1 minute review. Smoothest vodka I ever had in my life. Starts out with taste of pure sugar, followed by an aftertaste of nothing. Comes in this amazing bottle here. I think it's $25 or so for the 750 milliliter size. And we're going to use that as a flower base after we're done drinking this quality stuff. Again, best vodka I ever had. I'm not a connoisseur, but I've tried most of the major high-end brands. Ocean vodka. Badass. Made in Hawaii. So
check us out on Instagram. A lot of stuff not involving space weather. Again, visit the links in the description if you want to support the channel. And thank you, donors, as you're helping to keep these videos in existence. Also, we've begun the process of beginning a nonprofit organization. By the end of the year, we should be tax deductible status. So the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, like late springs, to connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach, such as Google, who is trying to transcribe this very speech right now, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems, such as growing your own food, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including sciences such as spectroscopy, chemistry, astrophysics, health, wellness, longevity, cosmology, etc., but not limited to those, to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value and reduce risk and liability and save lives and resources and adapt no matter what the adversity is, and to not be ossified in our beliefs, and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion. All right, let's look at more data here. Let's not have any wildlife lessons. We're going to look at the real-time solar wind. It's 4:32. Do you know where your internet connection comes from? Because I don't know. I think ours is coming straight out of hell. We still haven't gotten rid of our current internet service provider. We won't mention their name, as we don't want to defame anybody. We have a massively negative BZ right now, as forecasted yesterday also. These sunspots are pulling the B field, so expect to see this ongoing negative BZ situation. And as you can see, the BT is very high also, very high. 11.4, they've expanded the scale on that. So that's a big magnetic spike there. Phi angle is prone to bounce around here. It's probably going to stay at this negative, not negative, but low phi degree. And check out the solar wind density. We're going to see some very interesting magnetosphere movies today, so stay tuned. It should be interesting. Look at that. Solar wind density has just dropped down to 0.46 protons. So the speed is staying pretty nominal here at 347 kilometers per second. Pardon my loud keystrokes. And make sure that's, there we go. Check it out. Jeez. And 10.7 centimeter radial flux, again, at 76. We're raising bacteria in the stratosphere, folks, if you weren't aware. Check out spaceweather.com. They got some great, lot of asteroids in the news lately. So they've got the recent upcoming and Earth asteroid encounters section and so on. And we'll head to spaceweathernews.com. And as you can see, the X-ray situation here has gone into the nominal B flare range. So we're in a constant X-ray flare here. That's a legitimate uptick in solar activity, folks. And while we have a very low proton count, we've got a pretty high X-ray count. There you can see the both instruments there, both spacecraft, the ACE and the Discover. Again, recently dropped into a majorly high BT and negative BZ. So that those are earthquake risks. And here we see the GOES magnetometer kind of all over the place there. And we were up in geomagnetic storm conditions for a bit at a KP of 5. We've now dropped down to 4. We see a massive dip in the electron flux here, as we do. I like to call that proton light, as we don't see a huge change in the proton flux here. A little bit of surface charging hazards there around Central America. Nothing too crazy. And the F2 layer is looking quite anomalous. There's like a charge-discharge bridge thing going on there. And what's going to happen with this next is anybody's guess, as the proton density is so low, so low. Not to be confused with Han Solo, a scam devised to sell you action figures. One that started when I was 1 year old and has never stopped for over 40 years. Do not send me Star Wars Band-Aids. I will burn them to increase my carbon footprint. All right, check out the aurora forecast. We got some significant auroras here, despite an incredibly low proton density. It's space weather! There's the Australis, and we have significant auroras here. If you're in all the way down to southern Canada, pretty much to the Minnesota border, you should be able to see some auroras. And let's move on as we're trying to figure out how long to make these videos. Going to look at the Enlil spiral here to see if this has been updated since yesterday. And indeed it has. Although it's okay, that looks about right. Whatever. Let's move on to the total electron content, as it should be incredibly low. And for you new viewers out there, this is used to predict GPS errors, especially, as well as satellite drag or lack thereof. Shout out equatorial folks. Your GPSs are going to be working pretty good today. And here's the gong too. We've seen those sunspots pulling back the fields here, so to speak. And let's see what's going on. Well, what we see here is consistent with the sunspots weakening. Earth-facing quiet effect. Shout out if you know what the Earth-facing quiet effect is. And next we'll go to solar ham. We'll look at the breakdown here of these sunspots. Like I said, 2741 is now alpha, as it has been since its formation. And 2740 has now lost its North Pole oriented field. So we are alpha class, Earth-facing quiet effect. If it's an effect or a coincidence, I have no idea. Let's look at the LASCO images while we're here. Thanks to solarham.net for putting the data in the same place. Save these in your favorites, folks. Save these in your favorites. Yeah, we have major earthquake warnings here. I'm letting this play through a second time since I was looking at the chat. And it looks like there's actually some coronal mass ejection coming out there right at the very end of the video. Now, this is a GIF, so I can't really advance this without loading this in some other software, so we're not going to worry about that. But watch the very end right there. Yeah, there was some ejecta coming out. It looked like it was coming out the west. Don't quote me on it. And don't base your purchases of giant bags of rice at Walmart on it. What the heck happened? Where are we? You are located in the Milky Way galaxy, folks. And if anybody in the chat is from Cygnus A or from Andromeda, please leave a comment, as we are very interested in your perspective on how the universe works. And welcome to the neo-renaissance of our planet, as people start to rewrite physics and understand the distinction between their you-know-what and a hole in the ground. Yes, that's right, they're donkey. Or is it a mule? I don't understand the difference. If you know about hybrid equines, please leave a comment. Here's a location of you and the stuff in the solar system. And there's where stuff will be in a week. Link should be in the description. Next, we're going to head to Stereo A space weather beacon here. See if we see any ejecta. And this data is probably going to be a little bit too old, as there's a bit of a delay since this thing is months behind the Earth in terms of orbit around the sun. Oh, we do indeed see ejecta. Once again, the smAsho channel has caught it as it's happening. I mean, you seriously couldn't get any closer than that. Check it out. Just a couple hours ago, 3 hours ago or so. That is a legit Earth-facing coronal mass ejection, and it just happened. So there you have it. Not going to cause any major stuff. It looks like the interplanetary magnetic field's actually splitting it up here. So we're going to get a chaotic, that's a chaotic situation. As you can see, there's like a bubble. See this bubble on the front? That's prone to do anything. You can see there's a higher density here in the back. And that's going to chase that down and make this thing's progression asymmetrical. Because keep in mind, there's a Birkeland current traveling right down the interplanetary magnetic field. And that's going to utterly affect how this plasma acts. So it would be nice to be able to forecast this a little better. And we're hoping soon we will be able to do so. But anyway, that's a real Earth-facing CME. Let's check out the night sky, as we typically do around this time. Head to in-the-sky.org to get your star chart for where you're located. You can even advance this thing in time. Check it out. It's awesome. And guess what Cygnus is going to do? Circle the North Pole all summer. Where were you when Cygnus rose? Man, we got some very anomalous magnetosphere movies here. A little bit weirder than I thought they'd be, as these images are the current situation. This is also the data archiving section of the videos. So please excuse my squeaky chair and check out the velocity, which is fairly nominal. Nothing really to write home about here. Don't freak out when you see the density, because it's going to look not very dense. All right, crazy anomalies in the velocity. Here's the density. Thanks to University of Michigan. You ready for the puff out? It's right at the end of the video, the last few frames. Here comes a low density solar wind. And what's your theory on how the Earth's magnetosphere is generated? If you understand magnetohydrodynamics, you may not think the Earth has its own field. Let's get controversial. All right, let's look at the pressure, as it's real weird looking. And looks nothing like we've covered on this channel before. We see very low pressure in the bow shock. So massive pressure changes associated with that BZ switch. Yeah, major magnetohydrodynamic situation going on here. The Earth is in a massive discharge mode. That's why the ionosphere looks the way it does. Check it out. There's your sun side, dark side bridge that forms. And again, that F2 ionosphere layer map, that thing updates fast. Let's go back to that for a minute, as I've spent a lot of time looking at the stuff before I made any videos about it, because I don't like talking out my ass and not understanding what I'm saying. To quote Jordan Peterson, I don't want to sound stupid. So here you can see around these areas, we've got more charge than we ought to see on the nighttime side, and we got a very, very high incoming charge on the daytime side despite the low solar wind. This is one of those counterintuitive indicators. Let's look at the ground magnetic perturbations here, as we are likely to see some oddities. Look at the poles first. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Here's the view from the entire planet, as we see massive perturbations over the Canadian pole, the Siberian pole, and the South Pole. Largest we've seen in months. Some of them spreading towards South America, and some of them spreading into the Indian Ocean. We'll let that play through one more time, as this data is not accessible. If you want to see it, you have to basically screen rip it the way we're doing right now. And thanks again to University of Michigan for providing it, as there are a lot of sensors involved. If you're interested in understanding where this data comes from, go to this page. Links are in the description. Just head down to the bottom of the page and click on, I believe it's data details, and click on the space weather modeling framework, and that's going to explain where the sources of data are derived. We're going to skip cosmic rays. We're going to skip Zooniverse. We're going to tell you to go to smAsho at Facebook, which is facebook.com/mashomash. If you want to be censored and throttled and shadow banned and depersoned and deplatformed and so on for doing anything controversial, please go to Facebook, as they are a tech giant / political hack organization. So check out smAsho there. Also check out well, don't check that out. That's pretty vulgar. Oh geez, did it happen again? I don't know what's going on. Something about algorithms. Also, dear Google, transcribe this, period. Don't be on your period, Google. Also, Twitter, another tech giant. I don't tweet, and there's a reason for that, but we put the videos up there. Thanks again, smAsho staff. Also, check out at minds.com. Minds.com/smAshomash, where you won't be censored. You'll get grassroots views, such as our 445,761. And you pretty much won't get censored. If you want to post porn, you're allowed. Porn. Dear Google, transcribe the word porn. None will be shown in this video. Check out the music. We've got a whole bunch of tracks, and some of them are located at this spot. That's soundcloud.com. Also soundclick.com/goldencat productions. In fact, the very song you're hearing can be added to your MP3 collection for only 99 cents USD. We branded it to look a little like the YouTube channel so you know what you're getting. And frankly, I'm scared to look at the earthquake environment, as we have a downtick here. And that's kind of scary, really. So we see a 4.9 in Japan. We see a 5.1 south of the Fiji Islands. I don't know what is going on with that font, but it's bad. That 5.1 is 537 kilometers deep also, by the way, and that is pretty freaking deep. .3 at the Solomon Islands, 4.1 at British Columbia. Heads up, Canadian viewers. If anybody felt that one, leave a comment. Oh, and regarding Harry Wire, a question, the Earth being magnetic. The question is just a question. Earth being magnetic and the sun being magnetic, and we couple with it, does the Earth ground out in any way to the sun? Cheers, Dan. Yes, we ground out in any way to the sun. The question is, how do we ground out? It has to do with the interplanetary magnetic field, I believe, because there's a current that goes down that field. And so the nature of how the sun's field is generated is just as important as how the Earth's field is generated, in my opinion. And we can't get into that in this video because this is for a specific purpose. We'll talk cosmology at a later time. We see a 4.2 in Alaska, a 4.9 in Japan. Heads up, Japanese viewers. Let us know if you felt that one. How about a 4.9 in Indonesia? Do we even have any Japanese viewers? See a 4.3 in El Salvador. 5.0 New Caledonia. Heads up, New Zealand, Fiji, Tonga, etc. Speaking of which, there's a 363 kilometer deep one just in the past few hours. And lastly, a 4.2 off the west coast of Kamchatka, Russia. The Aleutian Island chain is pointing right at it. Let's move on here, as we don't want to spend the rest of our lives making a space weather video. Pressure maps. Please zoom out. Ugh, I guess it doesn't zoom out. It zooms in. Okay, I guess that's as far out as it zooms. Cheers. Got a massive low pressure in the North Atlantic. If you are on a boat with Mark Wahlberg in this area, head for shore, because the perfect storm is not a place to watch a hunk like Mark Wahlberg drown. Nobody wants to see that. We got a pretty serious low in the Pacific. Here's a low off of in between Japan and Kamchatka. And we got some serious lows creeping around here between Australia and New Zealand. Let's let that play through. Very oddly shaped low right here. Heads up, New Zealand. That is an earthquake risk for you. Also, this low is moving the wrong direction. See that low right there? Papua New Guinea. Shout out to Papua New Guineans. Whatever you are. Shout out Andromeda Galaxy viewers. Thanks for tuning in. We're running low on memory again, folks. This seems to be wont to happen around this time of day. All right, let's not get too controversial. Volcano update. Karimsky, 8,000 foot plume. Shivaluch, 15,000 foot plume. Sakurajima, 9,000 foot plume there. Manam, 8,000 foot plume. Krakatau. volcanic ash cloud. Tocono, Fuego, Sangre, Venador, and Sabancaya. So that's a significant uptick. Sabancaya producing a 26,000 foot plume. Don't pole vault over that. Let's look at the AccuWeather radar.